The reign of Emperor Domitian 81-96 AD remains one of the most fiercely debated periods in Roman history, with historians struggling to definitively categorize him as a ruthless tyrant or a pragmatic reformer. Born Titus Flavius Domitianus in 51 AD, he was the younger son of Emperor Vespasian and the brother of Emperor Titus, inheriting the throne upon Titus' sudden death. His early life was marked by political instability and the shadow of his father's legacy, a legacy of restoring order after the tumultuous year of the four emperors. Vespasian's reign had focused on solidifying the Flavian dynasty and rebuilding Rome after the devastating fire of 64 AD, and Domitian initially sought to follow in his father's footsteps. However, the early years of his rule were characterized by a perceived weakness and a reliance on his advisors, particularly Seneca's former slave, Epictetus, and his wife, Domitia. The Senate, traditionally powerful, saw an opportunity to assert its authority and often clashed with Domitian's attempts to centralize power. This tension led to several conspiracies against Domitian, further fueling his paranoia and driving him toward increasingly autocratic measures. The conspiracy of Flavius Domitianus in 89 AD was particularly significant, revealing a plot to assassinate the emperor and restore the republic. After this conspiracy was uncovered, Domitian dramatically increased his repressive measures, tightening control over the Senate and employing informers to detect further threats. He implemented a system of delators, individuals who were rewarded for reporting perceived enemies of the state, fostering an atmosphere of fear and suspicion. The Senate, stripped of its traditional power, became largely a rubber stamp for imperial decrees, and senators lived in constant fear of accusations of treason. Despite his reputation as a tyrant, Domitian was a remarkably efficient administrator, implementing a series of reforms that improved the empire's infrastructure and economy. He oversaw extensive construction projects, including the completion of the Forum of Domitian, a magnificent addition to the Roman Forum, showcasing his imperial power. He improved the Roman road network, facilitating trade and communication throughout the vast empire, strengthening the military's ability to respond to threats. Domitian revitalized the agrarian economy by enforcing grain laws and encouraging agricultural development, addressing concerns about food security. He reformed the Roman army, increasing its size and improving its training and equipment, enhancing its defensive capabilities. Domitian's fiscal policies were aimed at stabilizing the Roman currency and reducing inflation, demonstrating a concern for economic stability. He was a fervent proponent of imperial cult, promoting his own deification and requiring provincial governors to publicly acknowledge his divinity. This emphasis on imperial cult served to strengthen his authority and reinforce the idea of the emperor as a divine ruler. His reign also saw a resurgence of Roman literature, with Domitian becoming a patron of poets and writers, although this was sometimes achieved through censorship and control. The poet Martial, though receiving imperial patronage, criticized Domitian's excesses in his epigrams, reflecting the complex relationship between the emperor and the literary elite. The philosopher Epictetus, though a former advisor to Domitian, wrote extensively on Stoic philosophy, promoting virtue and acceptance of fate, ideas that may have subtly challenged imperial authority. Despite his efforts to improve the empire, Domitian's paranoia and increasingly autocratic rule alienated many senators and elites, contributing to his downfall. In December 96 AD, Domitian was assassinated by a conspiracy led by his Praetorian prefect, Stephanus, and members of his own household. The conspirators, motivated by a desire to restore senatorial power and end a climate of fear, brutally murdered Domitian and his wife, Domitia. Domitian's death marked the end of the Flavian dynasty and ushered in the reign of Nerva, a more conciliatory ruler who sought to restore relations with the Senate. The subsequent Year of the Four Emperors, 97 AD, demonstrated the instability that followed Domitian's demise and the deep-seated resentment his rule had engendered. In the centuries following his death, Domitian became a subject of intense historical debate, with ancient historians like Tacitus and Suetonius portraying him as a cruel and tyrannical ruler. Tacitus, in his histories, depicted Domitian as a paranoid and capricious tyrant who abused his power and oppressed the Roman people. Suetonius, in his Lives of the Caesars, presented a more sensationalized account of Domitian's reign, highlighting his alleged vices and eccentricities. These negative portrayals were likely influenced by the pro-senatorial bias of the Roman elite and the desire to justify the restoration of the Republic, even if fleetingly. Modern historians have attempted to re-evaluate Domitian's reign, arguing that he was a competent administrator and reformer who implemented policies that benefited the Roman Empire. They point to his success in stabilizing the economy, improving infrastructure, and strengthening the military as evidence of his effectiveness. However, they also acknowledge his authoritarian methods and the climate of fear he created, recognizing that his reign was characterized by both progress and oppression. The debate over Domitian's legacy continues, with historians grappling with the complexities of his reign and the challenges of interpreting ancient sources. Ultimately, Domitian remains a controversial figure in Roman history, a testament to the enduring power of his reign and the difficulty of judging historical figures whose actions had profound and lasting consequences.